Alright, welcome back to this 5-part video series in which we are building an API gateway from scratch. In part 1, we built an amazing foundation, a gateway, which reads from config.yaml and routes the request to the right backend. And it was not secure, right? Anyone can access it as the links were public. So in today's video, we'll be fixing that by adding API key authentication. And we'll be doing so by leveraging the middleware architecture pattern. And this is going to be most important part of our gateway, as we will be using this middleware pattern to implement every other feature like login metrics, and in the future we might add JWT authentication as well. So let's get into it. So to implement this, let's add a section middleware config. This is where we'll store all our global middleware settings. So let's just say auth API key, and under it we say valid keys. So this will act as our database, so we can see what other valid keys do we have. Let's just say ABC 1, 2, 3, and uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will act as our database of valid keys. Uh, Later, if we want, we can also add support for our JWT tokens like this, and then add our secret keys like so. We won't be doing this in today's video. And the next change will be under services. We need to tell what all middleware our services are using. So we can have middleware, and this will be an empty array, and middleware and auth API key. So what does it show? It shows that this service will have a middleware, which is auth API key. We won't be able to access this endpoint without going through this auth middleware. And this service, user service, is still public. So this will be today's agenda. Let's implement this Go code. So let's get into it. We will have to change this config struct. Let's add middleware config, which will be of type config, or maybe config types, and it will be middleware config, and we will have to define this config type config types, which will also be a struct. It will have an API key auth, which will be of type API config, YAML API auth API key and type API config, which will also be a struct. It will have fields, valid keys, which will be an array of string, which will get the YAML valid keys. I think this is it. Let's now change our service struct. We'll add a field called middleware, which will be of type an array of string, and YAML config will be middleware. So this will basically be a list of middleware that will be attached to a particular service. And now our most important part in this video, we'll create a wrapper. Will be create a middleware wrapper, which will be a type of function that will accept next http dot handler and also return an http dot handler. This is basically a type of function which will take next, which is also a function, and return a function. Next is the next in the chain, the sequence of executing, like first we'll have a logging middleware, then an authentication, and lastly we'll use the reverse proxy, our final middleware in the chain. So basically, let's just say if we need to first wrap our auth into our proxy, and our auth is wrapped in a logging. So this wrapper does exactly that. It takes, let's just say, logging. So logging will receive a next function. Next function will be the auth and also return a function. And in this, it will be calling this auth. So this is basically it. And our gateway will be of type wrappers, which will be a map of string and middleware wrapper, and will also have API keys, which will be of string of map string and string for fast lookups. Let's just change it to wrapper only. We can change this string type to simple boolean. We need not store any string to string. We can directly have this. This is basically to load all the API keys into the memory for fast lookups. So now we need to create some functions to register our wrapper, which will be on gateway, which will be attached to our gateway, called a register, and it will take a name of type string and a wrapper of type middleware wrapper. So what we'll do is called g dot wrappers, wrappers, and a name of our wrapper will be name, and it will be attached to uh, wrapper, which is of type middleware wrapper. And we can log it as well. Log dot print f uh, registered wrapper percentage. So this is it for our register function. It takes a wrapper and registers it to our gateway. First, we can register our API auth wrapper. Just rename it to middleware, or we will get confused. Registered our middleware. Let's now make our the auth function. Function gateway. It will be auth API key middleware, which will be of type this middleware wrapper, because it is the wrapper. So it will take a next function, which will be of type HTTP handler, and also return a HTTP dot handler. So it would return HTTP dot handler func, which will be a function that takes HTTP dot response writer and request object, HTTP dot request, and so what we need to get our API key from the headers. So it would be API key. From request object, we'll extract it, request dot header dot get function. So just say X API key. So now we need to loop over this API keys to see if our API key which we extracted from this request body is present, is already present or not. If it is not present, we'll simply return an error called authentication failed. And if it is present, we'll call this next next function. So let's range over it for, or we need not range over it, just if what happened if we need not get any first value, valid equals to g dot API keys, and we need to search for API key. And if not valid, then we need to log dot printf the authentication failed. No API API key not found. API key percentage s not found. And This will be API key. So basically what it does, whenever we create our gateway, it will automatically load all the API keys from the config.yaml and keep it in memory. And so, and after we extract the API key from header, we'll check if the same API key is present in our memory or not. If it is not present, we'll log this and return an HTTP error, HTTP dot error. And what does it take? Response writer will be W, and the mirror authentication. Array, what is happening? Mm, mm, mm. Authentication field is provided is http dot status. Forbidden. Is it forbidden? Uh, Forbidden, not found. What is the status for HTTP? Unauthorized? Not. Status. Not. Status unauthorized. So this will be it, and we will return it. And we'll return from this function. And if it finds the API key in the memory, we'll log it to user. What is happening? We'll log it log dot printf user authenticated, and we'll call next dot serve HTTP, passing it our request and response objects respectively. So I think this feature is also complete. We'll take this auth middleware. We'll have a function in it. Yeah, so it is correct. Let's now change our new gateway function. We need to add a new field. What are the new field in the gateway? Wrapper and API key. So our wrappers will be make a map of wrapper and the API keys. Make. Now what we need to do is range over the API keys and store it in this API key map. So let's just say for index and API and key. Now we need to range over our config dot middleware and valid keys and store gateway dot API key and store key equals to true. So we are storing all the keys in this map called API key, and now we can register our middlewares to this gateway. So gateway dot register. Our name of our function will be auth API key, and we will be registering gateway dot auth API key middleware. So this is the part of our new gateway. We created this. We stored all our API keys in this map and we registered our middleware here. Last part of handle gateway. This is the last part of the video. So let's declare our current, which will be of type HTTP handler and which will be equal to service.proxy. So now in this function we will be covering our service.proxy with all the middleware, and service.proxy will be the innermost layer covered by the logging, authentication, etc. So let's just do it. So for I equals to service dot middleware, let's for I equals to length of service dot middleware -1. We are going from the lastmost to the front. You'll understand it in a while. I greater than 0 and I minus minus. So now let's just get the middleware name, and it would be service dot middleware and I. Now we need to check if this middleware is present or not. So middleware comma okay. We need to check it in our map. So our map was gateway.wrappers, and we need to provide our middleware name. So this will check if our middleware is present or not, our function is stored or not. And now if not okay, means if it is not present, so we can log dot print and say middleware with name is not present, and we can add middleware name and make it printf and then continue. And now we can have our current will be wrapped in our middleware and wrap it. Where is it? Our current. Our current is now wrapped in the middleware. So it will iterate over all the middleware which we provided in the config, and it will check if the register function for it is present, if the middleware is registered or not. If it is registered, then it will be added to this proxy. And if it is not registered, so it will simply display this message, middleware with this name is not visible. And now we can log something, log dot printf service forwarding not in the loop. So this is outside the loop. Yes. So forwarding the request of this part to the service with this number of middlewares, and lastly we can add length of our middleware. and we need to call current dot serve HTTP. I am using current. Why does it show not using? Uh, Current dot serve HTTP w declared and not used. Oh, sorry. I need not declare it again. Yeah. So this is it, guys. We can now test our service if it is functional or not. There's a bug here. Mm, uh, so here it would be equal to 0. It won't be greater than 0. Else our authentication will not register. Just hold on a second. Uh, let's now run our backend 2 and let's rerun our backend 1. And then let's run our gateway 2. As you can see, registered a middleware auth API key. And let's see, these are our valid keys ABC123 and DWE569. Let's check. First, we have now successfully written authentication failed because our API key was ABC and 123. It still shows authentication failed. Let me see. ABC not found. Is it not passing correctly? Uh, because again, config again. It is ABC-123. I think there's some problem in passing our file. Let's see. Oh, it's valid keys, not valid key. So it is valid keys, not valid key, of course. So let's rerun our gateway. Let's again cull without correct. Now it says hello from the backend 2. And let's just see if we change our API key. Now it says authentication failed. So we can also see the logs. User authenticated, and when we provided ABC13, then it says authentication failed. So this is it, guys. I think it's perfectly in working condition now. Let's test some other. We had DWE, I guess, DWE, and 569, I guess, 569. So yeah, it says hello from backend 2. And if we change, let's say DEE, it says authentication field. So yeah, guys, when D569, it says authentication field, and when we provided our correct API key, it's a authentic user authenticated. So the second part is also complete. In the next part, we will see how to implement a load balancer in this. That is for today, guys. That's it. Bye bye.